は僕をダメなやつと思う鏡を見つめる僕を見下げているけど中には大きな力希望がある Maybe I'm a little young but you don't know what I've become Can't you see it in my face A demon living in disguise but you can see the killer in my eyes I've got a look you can't escape What you think about when you're born into a fire. Let 'em burn it out. fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away. Burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake it through the back of the pack. Kill it anyway. To blame. Haters face the world's mistakes. Wake it through the back of the pack. Kill it anyway. And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake it through the back of the pack. Kill it anyway. To blame. Haters face the world's mistakes. Wake it through the back of the pack. Kill it anyway. You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in. Don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer. I'd rather be free. I'd rather be a leader. I'd rather be a queen. I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer. I'd rather be clean. I'd rather be a poser in a magazine. I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in. Don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer. I'd rather be free. I'd rather be a leader. I'd rather be a queen. I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer. I'd rather be clean. I'd rather be a poser in a magazine. I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer. I'd rather be free. I'd rather be a leader. I'd rather be a queen. I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer. I'd rather be clean. I'd rather be a poser in a magazine. I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
12.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Dysfunctional Gaming's Talking D&D. I am Thundercat0420. Over there to my left is GM Patch Nasty. How are you today?
I'm a person, so I'm good.
Great. We're not going there again. This is a review, a recap of our first season, because it's our season 1 finale today. And I'm pretty sure I've asked you before, how are you? And I'm pretty sure you answered, I'm a person. So I'm gonna say that was
pulling out the goldies.
That's a throwback to one of our prior episodes. But we're gonna kind of go through our episodes and talk about the season and what we came to figure out. But before we do that, what did we talk about last week, which we're going to talk about later anyways?
We talked about my shit, right? That's what we did last week? We talked about Vermorth?
Yes, okay. We talked about your shit.
Yeah, I had to think about it. I was like,
we talked about GM Patch Nasty's homebrew campaign. His shit, if you will.
Yeah, my shit.
So yeah, that's what we talked about last week. If you want to catch up on that, you can catch it on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you fill your ear potatoes with podcasts.
I feel as though you did not like the preferred nomenclature that I used when I called it my shit there, Thundercat.
It's not your shit.
It is my shit. That's my shit. It's Harry Potter, but it's got my shit on it.
I mean, like, it's not. That's not what it's called. You don't just you don't call a homebrew that you've put together your shit.
Yeah, I did. What of it?
No, that's I what use you that do nomenclature.
That's what I called it.
Bathroom.
No, that's also my shit too.
Yeah,
that's my shit.
That's not the way to do it, though. You don't want to put something that's.
I'm from Maine. The same words can mean different things, no matter how you say it or put different inflection on it.
Oh yeah, well, welcome to America. We our English is like we're like fuck everybody. We're just gonna mess everybody up with everything.
Go give me that shit near the other shit.
Well, anyways, go get that stuff. Go get his shit on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and everywhere else.
YouTube. Don't forget the YouTube.
Oh yeah, YouTube. You can watch the videos. So I guess we'll just get into our season finale. What's going on? How you excited about having a season finale? First season?
Yes.
Episode 69.
I feel as though it's more of a pun than it is a season finale. Because we're ending on episode 69. That's just my brain waves. But yeah, we have a season finale. I've never had one of those.
So it kind of makes sense because we're going to have to be moving Talking D&D to Monday nights. So we could kind of say that it was the end of the season of Tuesdays being the...
But here's the thing, Thundercat. I've known for a while that we were ending on episode 69, and I didn't know we were going to be moving on episode 69, so it's still kind of a little bit of a laugh to me. Sex thing.
No, that's the weed number.
That's 42.
So anyways, we're going to do a season finale recap of our season. And then we're going to take a week off. Next week will be 4th of July. And then the following week we'll be starting on Mondays, the 11th. Is that what that day is?
7 plus 4 is 11. Yes.
So yeah, at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, same time, same channel, different day.
Yes, what he said.
All right, let's get into it.
He was nodding. He was nodding at me. Yes. You can't hear it, but now you can.
Let's get into it. So going way back, starting at episode 1, we were talking about Carlin the Gnome, where we had this great idea of talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and we had
another idea
that kind of went with that, yeah. And we went away from it because it just wasn't. I don't think we could handle it every week.
Nobody wanted to hear about Carlin the Gnome.
True.
I'm gonna say it.
True.
That's if you want to listen to an audiobook, buy an audiobook. I'm not the voice for you to listen to a story about a gnome and their people.
So here's the deal. Is what we were thinking was we could make a story and also talk about Dungeons and Dragons stuff. We made a character, Carlin. We created a warlock. A great old one warlock, and we did her character class and did that, and she was a gnome. So we did a race. We talked about races. We talked about the character class. And we created a little background story for her. So that was early on, and when we had a different idea for this podcast, and I don't know, I liked it for a while, but it was hard to maintain, as well as you're right, the people don't want to listen to.
You want to listen to a book? Listen to a book. If you want to listen to a podcast, listen to a podcast. You can't do both. It's like I thought about it at I think it was episode 10. I was like, do I want to listen to a book and a podcast? That's confusing to me. So no, I don't want to do that. Why are we doing this? And then we still kind of did it for a little bit longer. And then we started to kind of really find our niche when we started to talk about ability score increases at a 4, 8, 12, 16.
That's a little later. Hey, Fuzzrab.
What's up, Fuzz?
Talk about the Mondays. Give us the teeth. Your American English is awful. I cringe at it. Oh, we're going to Mondays. What about Survival Mondays? Survival Monday will still be going on. It's just it'll be later on the night.
Yep.
Hi,
Fuzz.
The second episode was Welcome to the Cloakwood, where we tackled actually some Dungeon Master basics, and we create our hero Carlin a home. So we made her little area where she lived and some beginner knowledge into dungeon mastering. We chatted about Candlekeep and the Sword Coast as well. So there's a little bit of lore in there. We didn't go much story because that was more of a DM side of the story. So yeah, so what else? What was next?
We made NPCs. Basically, we tried to start a little, I want to say at least a 1 to 5 campaign, and then realized
we created a backstory for Carlin. We made it. We introduced her to some friends that she made a party with. Then they needed to follow on and find a magical artifact, which we created, a homebrew magical artifact, and a dungeon where they had to find it. And then they met Dingleberry, who was the crazy wizard, who taught them stuff that they needed to do to go to Candlekeep again. And then we started getting into the more D&D basic stuff, like talking about having abilities, getting downtime. We talk about we did stuff with a D&D vocab. We did skill checks and passive abilities. We used to bring some lore from the Sword Coast in. Or not even, because you brought Arcan the Cruel from Critical Role.
He's in the Sword Coast. You have to play through.
He is now. Yeah, he is now. Yes. Yeah. And then we did a little bit more with Carlin and the gnome. The next thing we did was, I have to keep scrolling back because it gives me starts.
Are you looking through a podcast? Are you on Anchor right now? Yeah, it looks like you're on Anchor. Looking through our podcast. Okay.
Yeah. The downtime. We talked about downtime activities. We use downtime in our personal games, how we did it. We talk about the Loxodon and the gnome races. And then we finish our combat creation and some downtime for Carlin and the party. And then the next week we talked about multi-classing.
Shove Carlin to the side. Bye, Carlin. Bye, adventuring group. Get out of here.
you slowly see us like start like she starts falling into the background on this stuff.
What episode was that? Like right around like 12?
Yeah, 13 or 14 maybe. Yeah.
Hey, I had my brain in the right area.
Multi-classing, we get in depth and talk about some of more fun classes to mix, and we talk about multi-class spellcasting loop. And then we talk about some of our past experiences with multi-classing. I don't see anything about Carlin in there.
Nope.
Yeah, so right around there we kind of change the way that we do our D&D podcast, and this is what you get now. You get us talking about our old episodes because we've beat a lot of the books to death.
Yep, we've talked about everything in the books. Just about.
We talk about the big bad endgame evil guy, and we bring a special guest, our first guest on.
That was Beth.
Yep, Beth. We talk about her being a female playing D&D with a bunch of guys. We talk about her experiences using a big bad evil guy in Strahd, and yeah, that was actually one of my favorite episodes we've done. It was one of our longest too, because there was a lot we talked about that day.
Yeah.
But if you haven't listened to that one's definitely one of my favorite episodes that we've done.
Water.
Yes, I am thirsty.
Like a motherfucker.
What's next? Big bad evil guy, then to Feats. We talk about Feats. That was a good one. We talked. I think we talked about all the ones that we've used before. Ones that are fun to add in, depending on the kind of character you're playing.
Pretty sure I talked about the ones that I didn't use.
The ones that you gave out.
Yeah. Never again.
We moved on to dungeons, which is weird because like I figured that would have more plays because dungeons is part of
Dungeons are subjective. That's like ugh.
We take a in-depth look at the process, the purposes and uses of the dungeons have in the creation of a campaign. Let's talk about some specific D&D vocab pertaining to ecology of dungeons and dark vision, and we talk about our past experiences as players and DMs. We create a 4-room dungeon and include it in our story time stanza. And we bring Carlin and her friends. So we've kind of kept her there just for the story time part, but that was it because we used the dungeon.
Yeah.
But she was there still. She still floats around every once in a while. We actually didn't we do an episode where we just talked about her?
I have no idea.
A little while ago, I'm pretty sure we did.
I black out most of those episodes.
Okay, great. Wonderful. I'm glad you're always here for those things.
Well, Carlin's, I mean, I said it earlier. I was like, Carlin's rough. That was, I don't even remember, like, was it Quan?
Yep.
Okay.
We move on to adventuring. We have our second guest ever, Griff, shows up to lend a hand to give us a different aspect of that adventuring offers. And then we talk about some past experiences and we figure out what is next for our friend Carlin and her friends. You remember the episode with Griff?
I do. I remember we talked about how we took advantage of him. That was one of my favorite things to talk about. And basically tell him, like, yeah, we took advantage of you. And he's like, yeah, I kind of realize that now, but, you know, maybe learn some.
Patch is just there for the looks. Yeah, they're stretching that. You're even stretching that, Fuzzrab.
He's not wrong, Fuzz. Not wrong.
Then we talk about dragons the next week. We bring some mythology about the history of dragons, and we talk about how they use their abilities in some fun ways. What else did we talk about?
What did you enjoy talking about for 69 episodes, Thundercat, before you continue prattling off more of those episode titles?
I just like talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, it doesn't matter what I talk about.
Sorry, okay, good. I fucking loathe talking about the classes and then remembering 4, 8, 12, and all the goddamn levels. Still need to put that on a t-shirt.
But but going through all that, like, I knew most of the stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't know all of it. So, like, it was nice for me to finally, like, go through all of it and see it finally. Like, do you know what I mean? So, even though it got repetitive, it was like, fuck it. I got to learn new things about different classes. Like,
I learned fighters are broken.
I think that
it was like 4, 6, 8, and 10. Get out of here.
Well, then they have
that.
What was that last one we just did? The fucking
the Bard?
The Bard. That last one of those bards, I was like, this bard is fucking dope.
You gotta get there though. That's half of it, man. That's the big tier skills is you gotta not multi-class and you gotta have the DM who wants to go to level 17, level 18. That top tier shit and throw the book at you, literally.
So coming up after that, after talking about dragons, we talk about the races, and that episode, I remember we went through all of the races in the player's handbook, I'm pretty sure. I don't think we moved on from the player's handbook yet. For races, so maybe that's something we could do in the future, because we didn't do any of the races from Bolos. We didn't do any of the races from was there more races? Oh, the Eberron book had new races.
There's Odysseus, there's a
bunch of new ones, right?
Ravnica, there's all kinds of kinds
so that might be something we could do in the future. And then we talked about shops, and that was I like talking about shops because I like creating different atmospheres.
I like making magical items. I like making magical items and shopkeepers. Yep. Those are my two favorite things to do as TM. Like, ooh, what's a weird magic weapon? What's a weird voice that I can do to take people's money? Yes, I will talk like Sebulba. Yes, give me your money. Do not wave your hands at me. Your stupid little arcane tricks do not work on me.
Yeah, Fuzz, I was just gonna say this is when we started getting into the classes, and we did the barbarian and the warlock, but we talked about the basic classes, and I think we just took one subclass from each one and talked about them.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get into all of the other subclasses right away, which we ended up doing later in the season. But after we finished
doing.
Yes. We're still getting there. But looking at the 6 weeks in a row that we did, so that's 12 classes.
We were double dutying.
Yeah. Following that, we talked about D&D planes, astral trains, and abyssal automobiles. We talked about the planes of Dungeons and Dragons, which actually I remember doing that. We did 2 episodes yet because we only got half of them done in the first episode.
Like 2 or 3. It wasn't a lot. I was like, oh geez, there's a lot of them.
And then we followed that week up with spells, which we could probably do again because I think we talked about spell casting a little bit in the beginning, and then we talked about some of our favorite spells.
First of all, if we're going to talk about spells, we need to talk about the smash success that was and still is prepare, cast, erase. Number 1. Number 2, if we're going to do more fucking spells, we're talking about Wildmount. We're doing that shit.
Yes,
I want to talk about
Dramaturgy is
going to be.
I want to talk about all that other stuff too. Yes, exactly.
I've had to read a little bit for Bermorth, and some of the spells are pretty dope.
Well, I've been looking at them because I asked if I could take that
Yeah, I'm
earlier.
waiting. Yeah, I was like, yeah, sure. Graviturgy's cool.
Ooh.
Chronomancy, no. Dunamancy, no. Not yet.
And then the next episode after that was the second part of the D&D Planes.
All right, hold on. Before we go into more episode titles, if you got the episodes there, when is the big dysfunctional gaming shift? That's what I'm curious about. When is the episode with Vandal? Because that's when, like, the channel started to take a big change where we started to do a lot more D&D.
So right now we're in July of 21, and
so people are still wearing masks. Okay,
yeah, and then Vandal was his spotlight was October 5th.
So there's a couple more months. So so we filled that with more.
This is where we really got into, like, I think we figured out our, like, the way we wanted to do things, and we started, like, piggybacking off of it, because the next, like, 10 episodes is backgrounds, homebrew day, improv, organizations, metagaming and table talk, good players, the deck of many things, large combat, choosing a weapon, D&D potions, maps, and then it was the War for Garaxia spotlight with Vandal. So, like, I think we started figuring out, like, stride. Hit our stride there, and we figured out where we wanted to put what. And so now, like, with that, looking at that, we can also add in some more item days. We can add some more homebrew days in. We can even talk about like more niche D&D things, like maybe character development, or like DM characteristics, like something that helps push adjectives, make things more able to. Yes, exactly. Like you hear the ominous echo through the hallway, like that stuff, like that. Saying things like that can really put a good image into players' heads. So maybe that's something we could do as an episode where we talk about learning new phrases and adding descriptions and stuff. I don't know. Looking at the stuff, maybe this is what I have to do to figure out what we're going to do for new episodes. Anyways, go back and kind of take some inspiration from ourselves,
expand upon things that we didn't expand upon.
Yeah. But yeah, our first homebrew day, we talk about let's see, photos and ideas from the community and turn them NPCs. Yeah. We took some pictures that we put in the Discord and created some monsters and some places, and that was cool. And then we went up to choosing a weapon, potions, maps, and then we had the War for Garaxia spotlight with Vandal. Where Vandal came and sat down with us, and we talked about the War for Garaxia homebrew that he created. And we had I think we started it that weekend.
That was episode one. The start of the big shift.
Yeah. Yep. Following that, we talk about equipment. We did a whole episode on random tables. I remember that one. That one was a pretty good one, where we created our own random tables. We talked about how we used them in different dungeons and different atmospheres and different encounters. We talked about toolkits. What was your favorite toolkit? Do you remember?
Disguise kit. Yeah, I already know. I don't have to look through.
I still think Tinker's Tools is probably one of the best like usable one. Well, the disguise kit's great for everything, but I think Tinker's Tools is up there because you can really fix a lot of mundane things that people are like, that wasn't supposed to happen.
I could fix a lot of things with the disguise kit, but not fix as in to repair, fix as in to prosper moneyly. I don't know the word.
We did our homebrew number 2 where I remember that one. That was right after Halloween. and we did all the creepy. That had the rocks with the weird faces on them.
Yep.
Yeah, that one was fun.
Rocks with teeth and zippers.
Yeah,
and shit.
it was gross. It was gross. This and then we had one that was inspired from one of our coworkers, Anthony, how to become a dungeon master. That was his question that he asked me while I was working with him, if someone else could be a DM, how they would go about doing that.
This is still miserable slinging sandwiches, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Still 2021. All right, I got my brain.
And because of that question and that episode, we moved on to push even further into making an episode about the tips and tricks that we do as DM. What does FuzzRep have to say? For me as a viewer, it got really interesting when you got really in depth as a D&D podcast. I loved learning about the whole way you played D&D and how you've done it as a DM. Maybe a wee bit more talk about your DM styles might be good.
Well, so here's the thing. I would love to talk more about my DM style, Fuzz. However, it's easier to witness it when we play Brimorth Academy for the Arcane, twitch.tv, Dysfunctional Gaming, TTV, Fridays or Saturdays, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, Dysfunctional D&D over on YouTube. Look for it's the Weird War for Garaxia logo, not the squid. All right,
so now
still in the right place if you see a squid.
Now, if there's someone that doesn't go and watch us and that just listens to our Talking D&D podcast, give them a little rundown of your DM style.
I am very loose. I play fast and loose with my DM style. I will purposefully forget that sometimes people did not get a wand and then there's an encounter starting, so that'll happen. I like to build suspense, and I really hate it when the party splits up, so sometimes I might invent a magic item or a magical spell that prevents them from doing that. It's fun sometimes. I'm big on improv.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that my DM style is kind of a go with the flow and hope that my story can hold together. I will say no on occasion, because I've learned that I am so go with the flow that I've let a lot of stuff go, and now I can't do that anymore because it just makes it harder for me to finish what I've started. But I try to make it fun for everyone, but also keep the story intact and make it still have some thrill or consequence. This last game that I DM'd for the Fight for the Forest that was on stream was something I've never really had a chance to do before. I started a little bit with it with the first time you guys ran in Vrist on the PS4, but yeah,
He's right.
true.
He's right.
True. But when we were playing in Vrist the first time, I was trying to make it hard for the players because I wanted to see how far people would go, I guess, to survive in a D&D game, I guess. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes. No.
I don't purposely go out to end the campaign, TPK people. This last campaign I ran was harder on purpose. And that's the first time. That's the first time I made a campaign like that.
I ran Tomb of Annihilation, so that's meant to be. I will kill you if you fuck up. So I'm used to that. I have no. I
But I didn't. But for you guys to play with me normally, that whole 3.5 years that we played together, and then me run a campaign like that, what was the difference?
I honestly I liked it. It was a challenge. I hated Zaphod being there. As Zaphod and both Patch, I was like, this place sucks. I'm gonna snap a stick over my fucking leg and get out. Got lucky on that one. I dove off of a waterfall, if I remember correctly. Like that wrist was rough.
Yep.
The first little PS4 wrist
Yep.
that I played in.
Hey, and the Fight for the Forest, what was the difference between that one and my other campaign?
I was a cleric.
Okay. Good answer.
That's really what it like the big thing was is I was like, all right, I have to make sure other people don't die. I'm not relying on someone else to make sure that I don't die. So let's try and do that.
So yeah. I guess yeah.
That's the easiest way to sum it up. I was like, I was a cleric. I was not as reckless or endangering as I was as a wizard with the Archmage's staff or a half-orc barbarian or a half-orc fighter who liked to play Crits Ball. Was it Crits Ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about writing a new campaign. An actual wrist campaign, one with wrist again, where your old characters of wrist became legend, and I'm going to write like an epilogue for them because I don't think we're going to be getting back to the Tuesday game with everybody, and I don't want to keep a campaign going if there's only like 3 people out of the 6. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm going to like write an epilogue where they either are legend or something happened, and I don't know what yet, but I want to do like a continuation of wrist from a different perspective.
Sounds interesting.
Kind of like Exandria Unlimited off of Matt Mercer's game. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Nope.
I don't watch it. I'm just saying they're offshoots of the same world.
Most first season of Critical Role. That's all my knowledge.
Either way.
I know names. Matt Mercer's a name. I know that name. That's a name.
After that, we did a story time stanza where we talked about Carlin again.
Oh yeah.
We do a monster day the following week where we talk about oozes and puddings. We did time travel. Following up on the tips and tricks for DMs, we did a player tips and tricks, things to do when you go to the table. We talk about more monsters and the goblinoids and finding the goblinoids. 2 weeks later we talk about hobgoblins because there was just too much good stuff to not talk about them as a monster group. In between there we talk about magic items and creation of magic items and selling them and buying them, and then we start getting into the subclasses. We talk about the monk subclass, and then we do a dungeon builder, and then we talk about the barbarian subclass.
Subclasses. Yeah,
and then we do the NPC maker, and then we do the paladin subclasses, and then we talk about some of the cooler monsters in the D&D lore, mind flayers. That was a fun conversation. Learn a lot about illithids there. And following that, we did wizard subclasses. And then I think this is one of my favorite ones too. The DM's rules and restrictions, like the things that we do as DMs that like we do to create the story, and like things that we will say that we won't have in our games. And that was fun. That was a fun one.
I enjoyed that one.
And then we had the rogue subclasses following up that. And then we talked about a couple months ago death in D&D. When a character dies in your game, how to go about the rest of the session, the rest of the campaign, what you want to do if they want to bring them back. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do when a character dies in D&D.
My favorite is to take their character sheet and rip it up
And say, good luck. Make a
Here's
new
a new
character.
Level 5.
Here's an NPC that you haven't met yet. You are now this NPC.
You're a con.
Moving on, we talk about more monsters with the elementals. Following that week, I was gone. But actually,
that was a weird week.
I was gone before that. It's just that when I published these, I had to publish these 2 days apart because 1 week I wasn't there to publish them. So actually, the week before I was gone, and we had a talking D&D with Dysfunctional Dad and GM Patch Nasty, where I was on vacation, and I don't have the picture to pop up on screen. They talked about being a new player because Dysfunctional Dad is a new player since October.
And he's a thoroughly addicted D&D player since November.
And he's fallen into the large rabbit hole of Dungeons and Dragons like the rest of us have.
Thundercat, when you say the word fallen in, I'm pretty sure we pushed that motherfucker in like Sparta kick style. Like, just fucking, here's some D&D. Whack.
Following that week, we jump back into the subclasses with the Warlocks. We talk about D&D one-shots and how they're never really one-shots.
Thank you. I'm so happy that that's still the gimmick, because it's a one-shot that's 2 sessions. You motherfuckers.
Then there's the Talking D&D Bard subclasses that next week we go jump back into some monsters we did a few weeks ago with the zombies, and that was a fun one. We did cleric subclasses, and then last week we talked about Remorse Academy.
My shit. There we go. I've been waiting for that.
Is there anything that you're looking forward to talking about in the future?
More motherfucking monsters, please. I enjoy talking about monsters. Okay. You hear it when we talk about...
How about this? When I on Tuesday, or well, it's going to be Mondays coming forward, when I post the outline, say, okay, next week we do monsters, and I want to talk about this monster, so I could just be like, okay, next week I can just put on monsters in there.
I'll give you a schedule right now if you want it.
Yeah, write me a schedule when you want to talk about monsters, and I'll put them in. And don't say every day.
No, I actually got to type. Man.
And you want actual, like, every other week or whatever. And I want the monster.
Oh, yeah, that's got to... Yeah. Well, it's going to be something.
You got to tell me the monster. You got to tell me the monster. You got to tell me the monster.
Okay, sure. I might be able to do that.
Okay, anything other than monsters that you want to talk about?
Nope. I like talking about monsters. I like to read that little blurb and be like, you son of a bitch, you watched John Carpenter's Vampires like 4 times. That's where you got that little trait from, you sneaky son of a bitch. It's usually my big thing is monsters. I don't want to talk about subclasses. I don't want to talk about classes anymore.
We gotta finish it. We're almost done.
We have to finish it. I just want to be done with it. I want to be done with it for like 4 months.
We don't have to do it. We never have to do it again until they bring us a new class.
The Artificers are a really new class, and we still haven't talked about
one class.
DD's one.
Not that big a deal.
And then it's got 4 subclasses. That's 2 episodes.
That's not that big a deal. No, it's not that we can do 1 episode.
I already hate it.
And you know what he gets at 4, 8, and
subclass features.
Buzzrab wants to talk about dragons, always dragons. I'm not talking about dragon gong.
There's a whole book that we haven't even talked about.
Yeah, we have to get into that as well.
Fitzbans. I mean, that's the issue with D&D. Like, we can cover most of the stuff, and then a year later there will be 4 new fucking books to talk about. We haven't even talked about any of the adventures. That's the thing that, like, I've been thinking about. Like,
I don't know if I want to talk about the adventures like as an episode, because I don't know. I hate fucking giving away D&D spoilers for people that want to play the game.
Well, so you don't give away spoilers. You give away like plot, like not plot
But I don't
elements,
think
but
that
like
fills an episode. That ends up being like we'd have to do 2 or 3 of the campaigns at once. And
well, here's the thing. I know that you could fill a whole episode with Castle Ravenloft and Barovia and fucking Strahd. That's an episode. I'm pretty sure you could potentially do an episode with the Descent into Avernus without spoilers. The other adventures will be harder. Out of the Abyss wouldn't be as hard. That's probably one of the less player-friendly adventures I've ever read or tried to run. Can we play some D&D? Sure. What do we get for starting equipment? Nothing. Because you're prisoners and you're level 1. Jailbreak time.
Buzzrab says, to be frank, I like it for me as a D&D noob. Learning about the subclasses is good and interesting.
Well, we're almost out of them. Make me a class so I can read about it and bitch about it as I do it. Make it the Fuzzrab class, and then make 3 separate subclasses so I can have 2 episodes to write about Fuzz. Or talk about. We talk about D&D. We don't write about D&D. Got a nosebleed?
No.
Oh, you're holding that spot where you would if you had a nosebleed. Okay, all right. You ever done that?
Just touch them out. No, I've never done that.
Oh. Next time you get a nosebleed, you should try it.
It doesn't work.
It does. It cuts off fucking. That's blood flow, man. It's like a
Not
garden
like
hose.
this. It's up
You
here.
gotta push it. No, it's right here, man.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
You're a liar. That doesn't work. I've had nosebleeds way more than you did, probably.
I don't know about that, man. I talk a lot, and I got punched in the face quite a bit.
I played sports my entire life. I used to take basketballs directly off my forehead. All the time. All the time.
It's really hard to reach your forehead when you're like
elbows
3 foot.
Bleeding, nose always bleeding.
Who could reach you at 10 years old and like 12'2"?
The only class I ever play really is a Paladin. Is there subclasses of that? We did the Paladin subclasses, didn't we?
Yes.
Didn't I say that? That's what I said.
I'm pretty sure we did that. I think yes, no, because we went through the
we did. Back in March 7th, we did the Paladin subclasses.
That was before vacation.
Yeah, that would be under the live videos on YouTube if you want to watch it, or you can find it on the podcast for. Anything else you want to talk about? You excited about anything else coming out for D&D or anything?
Playing more Vermorth when we do.
Yeah, I'm just happy to play D&D.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll call it there for the week. What do we got going on this week? We got
War for Garaxia on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday we are playing the next session of War for Garaxia. We'll be starting around 10 p.m. Eastern. And we have no Bremorth this week. Got a week, 2 weeks off. Even a week and a half in 2 weeks. And then no talking D&D this next week either, because it will be our Independence Day, 4th of July vacation week for us. So catch us back in 2 weeks.
Saturday, not Friday this week, due to scheduling issues and
Duke wasn't going to be able to make it.
Yeah. Let's just say Screaming Children is not good for microphones.
Great. Yeah, that's not great for streams.
No.
All right. I'll be back tomorrow and also on Sunday. Maybe Thursday morning. Who knows? That might be something I do. And maybe even Friday since we're off. Who knows?
Right? The world is
Uh,
your oyster.
So catch me on my channel there, and also don't forget to donate to Extra Life. My link there is underneath me. Oh, you make one for me?
I did! Thunder,
Thanks.
what up? You like that?
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah! I was like, I always spam mine. I was like, well, let's just make one real quick.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, and also don't forget to catch up with GM Patch Nasty. He streams as well, but he has kind of a crazy schedule when he streams. He kind of just goes for it. So just check him on Twitter. He posts
are for
there.
work. Or in the Discords. It does a little ping when I go. If you're not in the Discord, what are you doing here? Okay, come on now.
And that's that. We're gonna go somewhere for a raid. We'll head over to our ending screen and see if Randy made it back from last week. He was not feeling well.
Sure, he took a nap. All right. This will be the last Randy because now we got to come up with something new for season 2. What do you want to hear, Thundercat?
I don't know. We're gonna go to Throg. There we go. All right, Randy, whenever you're ready.
I don't know what I'm singing. You said you
whatever
don't
you
know.
like.
You got. I don't. That's not how Randy works.
Sing some No Doubt.
You and me, it used to be something. All together something. Went to Funny, married the dude from Bush. I can't believe they got divorced. Now they don't have their kids. Blake Shelton is doing stuff. I don't know a lot of No Doubt songs. That's who she's married now, right? Blake Shelton?
Yeah.
That's the thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Don't speak. I know what I'm singing. I don't got no reason. Don't tell me to stop now. Doo-doo. The cat is sniffing on the hat there. Looking real distracted. She don't know what to do. Do-do-do-do-do. That cat is walking right behind me. Now she's walking swiftly, and she's climbing on the couch. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. There goes that kitty. Still really confusing. Beth is looking at me. I'm waiting for her to. Okay.